Επιστρέψαμε κυρίες και κύριοι με το δεύτερο μέρος της εκπομπής Ευρώπη Τώρα, πάντα στο Thrakinet. Ας δούμε το επόμενό μας θέμα. Οι ευρωβουλευτές συζητούν για το μεταναστευτικό ζήτημα. Επιπλέον κάνουν συστάσεις σχετικά με τη συμφωνία για τις συναλλαγές στον τομέα των υπηρεσιών.
Europe is amidst a transformational crisis. Do we pull together or do we let others deal with it?
Only 400 applications have been relocated and the number of member states which have not yet pledged any places is high.
Die Grenzsicherung. Das ist eine unserer Erwartungen, die wir für den Europäischen Rat mithaben. Dass eben Grenzen bewacht werden müssen und dass auch zur Ehrlichkeit dazugehört, dass an Grenzen auch Nein gesagt wird, wenn Menschen ohne Visum und ohne Flüchtlingshintergrund kommen.
Ha menzionato il ministro Kenders e anche il commissario Avramopoulos la storia dei 10.000 bambini. Ma possibile che nessuno parla di questo, nessuno pensa a questo, pensiamo al pericolo. Di cosa? Di cosa fanno pericolo i rifugiati, i profughi? Di cosa?
Concentrant 25% des exportations mondiales et un surplus commercial de 160 milliards, l'Union européenne peut et doit changer la donne en instaurant des règles internationales plus justes et plus solides.
Democracy has come to Nigeria to stay, sooner than many of us would have imagined. Nigeria will be counted among the most stable, strong and virile democracies in Africa.
I think Britain without Europe, okay, it's a dwarf, let's be honest. We Belgians, we know that we are dwarfs, but maybe they're gonna know it also. And at the other hand, Europe without Great Britain, doesn't count, is not a counterweight against China, against Russia, against the United States, against America. It's in fact Putin, Mr. Kamal, who wins in this game in the end, because Putin likes a divided Europe.
I've always said I wanted the UK to remain a member of the European Union on the basis of a fair deal. The settlement that has been proposed is fair for the UK and fair for the other 27 member states.
Die Idee der sozialen Union wird begraben. Das ist für mich eindeutig nach dem, was ich hier gelesen habe. Das ist kein Kompromiss, der angeboten worden ist, sondern das ist der Kniefall vor der London City.
Das Muster in der Forderungslinie von Herrn Cameron, also er versucht für Großbritannien einen unglaublich großen Einfluss, auch durch Vetorechte auf die europäische Entscheidungsfindung zu nehmen, und gleichzeitig will er maximale Ausnahmen für sich weiter garantiert sehen.
L'obiezione doveva raggiungere la maggioranza qualificata, quindi la maggioranza, la metà più uno degli aventi diritto al voto, e quindi l'obiezione è stata respinta. Il Parlamento ha ritenuto che questa proposta non fosse accettabile, non perché non prendesse in esame o non considerasse abbastanza importante il Parlamento, ma semplicemente perché i tempi richiesti da una procedura colegislativa ordinaria sono tempi eccessivamente lunghi per quelli che riteniamo invece necessari in questo caso.
Let us now gather our wits and strengths, leave behind the indecision, finger-pointing and ducking of responsibility. The choice is ours.
Στο επόμενο βίντεο θα ασχοληθούμε με το νομικό ναρκοπαίδιο που υπάρχει για τις μη συνενετικές υιοθεσίες στην Ευρώπη.
Martin and Katarzyna live in the town of Bad Hersfeld in Germany. Both of them have dual Polish-German nationality. The couple has been fighting German social services for over 2 years. They want to get back their son, Lukas, who was placed in foster care at birth. In the apartment, everything reminds them of the absence of their child.
Wir sind hier im Kinderzimmer von Lukas. Das Zimmer von Lukas war auch schon mal ein bisschen voller eingerichtet. Wir waren wirklich sehr gut vorbereitet auf unseren Sohn mit verschiedenen Anziehsachen, Spielsachen. Es gibt keinen Tag, an dem man keine Schmerzen und keine Trauer hat eigentlich auch. Ja, und diese Trauer wird auch auch nicht vorüber sein, bis unser Sohn nicht wieder da ist.
German social services claim the parents were unable to care for the child. In the past, 3 of Katarzyna's children from a previous relationship were taken into care.
Wir haben mit unserem Sohn gesprochen, als er im Bauch war. Wir haben ihn gestreichelt, gesprochen. Er hat unsere Stimmen immer mitbekommen und gehört und so. Und im Krankenhaus hat man unseren Sohn all dessen beraubt, getrennt von der Mutterliebe, von der Wärme der Mutter, die Stimme der Mutter. Meine Stimme hat er nicht mehr gehört. Dann war alles fremd.
The Korn family believe they are paying for their past. The placement of her 3 other children into foster care followed claims by the social services of the mother's inability to raise her children, of drug and alcohol use, claims which she has always denied. German social services declined to comment on the Korn family's case, which is under appeal. But questions are being asked about whether the dual nationality of Martin and his partner has a bearing on the case. We put the question to a youth welfare officer who is external to the case.
Recht gilt für alle, die hier in Deutschland ihren Wohnsitz haben und hier auch leben. Das Recht wird für alle angewandt, unabhängig davon, welche Nationalität oder welchen kulturellen Hintergrund sie haben.
An opinion that is not shared by the family's lawyer.
Man sagt, dass die Mutter ganz abstrakt nicht in der Lage sei, ein Kind zu erziehen. Noch auffällig ist, dass Familien mit einem Migrationshintergrund weitaus öfter Probleme mit dem Jugendamt haben als Familien deutscher Herkunft.
In the coming days, the courts will decide whether Lukas will be placed for adoption or returned to his parents. The issue of adoption without parental consent or non-consensual adoptions has been raised by EU citizens at the Petitions Committee of the European Parliament. Many of the cases involve parents or a parent who are not from the country where the adoption is taking place. The committee has received many cases, 245 from Germany, 44 from Denmark, 22 from the UK, 12 from the Netherlands and 5 from Slovakia. A phenomenon that is amplified by worker mobility within the EU.
It is extraordinarily complex because every country has its own legal systems, and what we're trying to do is, in the case of cross-border situations, to make sure that the legal systems aren't in conflict.
There should be better coordination between family courts across Europe to ensure that, for example, the case of a Polish mother living and working in the UK, but who might have parents in Poland who could look after her children in the case of that the children need to be taken away from their parents, that would be possible within EU rules. So that's what we're pushing for.
Parliament's Petitions Committee will examine the petitions received in detail and will publish a report which may include proposals to help families affected by this issue. Recent changes in the UK care system have seen an increase in cases of adoption without parental consent. One expert said the system may be resulting in adoptions being processed more rapidly than in the past, with children in care for less time when taken from their parents.
We've seen a pressure for much stricter time limits on how long children can remain being cared for by the local authority whilst their long-term future is decided. So there is a pressure for adoption, a pressure for other legal ways of providing a different future for these children.
In England, we contacted a Latvian mother who's been fighting for 5 years to get back her daughter, who's close to being adopted. It's alleged she left her daughter unsupervised for 2 hours. She claims that her rights have been flouted from the start of the process.
She was baptized into the Russian Orthodox Church in London. Her first language and the only language she used to speak was Russian. She was placed in the first place. She was placed with a Muslim family who certainly they never spoke Russian. So can you see the list of huge breaching of human rights? Language, culture, religion.
In London, we met with a former judge specialised in family law. He recognises the complex nature of cases involving different nationalities, but in his view, the system has improved over the years.
There is absolutely no doubt that non-consensual adoption of children is much more commonplace in England and Wales than it is in other member states. In each case, the welfare of the child is the paramount consideration. The trial court can only order adoption if nothing else will do.
Lila is losing hope of seeing her daughter again. She submitted a petition to the European Parliament and is seeking to appeal the decision in the European Court of Justice. She will continue to fight for her return.
Οι σεξουαλικές επιθέσεις σε γυναίκες στη Γερμανία σόκαραν την Ευρώπη και αναζωπήρωσαν τα αιτήματα να επικρατήσει ισότητα μεταξύ των φύλων, αλλά και να σταματήσει επιτέλους η βία κατά των γυναικών.
New Year's shocking sexual attacks in Germany bounced MEPs into renewed efforts to end sexual harassment and violence against women in public places in this week's plenary session.
Une espèce de chasse à la femme dans l'espace public européen. Ça ne s'était jamais produit. Il faut instamment appeler les États membres qui n'ont pas encore ratifié la Convention d'Istanbul, lutte contre les violences faites aux femmes, de la ratifier.
An EU survey says more than 60 million women have suffered physical or sexual violence since they were 15, at home, on the streets, at work. MEPs want the Commission to draw up a strategy to fight gender-based violence and inequality after the last one expired.
Insistimos en la necesidad de que se adopte una estrategia de igualdad entre hombres y mujeres.
Girls' and women's rights are the unfinished business of the 21st century.
Ms. Reintke says member states should be locked into a unified course of action.
What we have seen happening in Cologne has actually given a push again and has shown how important it would be to put this topic very high on the agenda, and this includes a gender equality strategy.
Cologne is in the spotlight again this month for the annual carnival, attracting up to 1 million people. The police promise increased protection of women and surveillance of suspects.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, εδώ ολοκληρώθηκε ακόμα μια εκπομπή Ευρώπη Τώρα. Εμείς ανανεώνουμε το ραντεβού μας για την επόμενη εβδομάδα την ίδια ώρα. Μέχρι τότε να είστε όλοι καλά. Καλή σας νύχτα.